Thank you for listening in to Conversations with Allison Jaye, the journey to here. Please remember to subscribe, hit the like button, and share.
Welcome to another episode of Allison Jaye. I'm your host, Allison Jaye, and today I have the honor and privilege of welcoming a very dear friend of mine, Clarissa. Clarissa and I met just over 8 years ago at a company that I used to work there, and Clarissa is still there. And she's just been a support and just an angel to me. And one of the reasons that I wanted to speak to Clarissa is because at the time of meeting, Clarissa had a full-time job, a part-time working on her own business part-time, full-time in ministry as a pastor's wife, a mother, a grandmother, you name it. I firmly believe that when Clarissa gets undressed in the evenings, there's a big S on her chest for Superwoman, because I don't know how she does it. So Clarissa, welcome to Conversations with Allison Jaye. It's a pleasure to have you.
Hello, Allison. It's a pleasure to be here, and I am thankful and honored that you thought it not robbery to include me in this podcast. So I am just really proud of you and all that you're doing with the Jaye Group and this podcast. So, thank you.
Thank you. So, Clarissa, one of the things that I'm very passionate about is learning and listening to the journey that people have been on, because people see the end result and they just think, oh, she makes it look so easy, or she's got it all, but they don't stop to look at there was a journey and a process to get to today. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to today.
I started out initially as a teacher, I guess, about many years ago. I won't say how many years ago, but I started out teaching because I had just recently divorced, moved to New Orleans, and I had 3 small children. So I decided to be on their schedule. I would start teaching. Had no really desire to teach, but I did it. I did it for 14 years. And once my children got older and out of school, I decided, well, now it's time for me to do what I feel on my heart that God is calling me to do, which is fulfill my calling in life. Mm-hmm. And with that, I stepped out on faith and quit my teaching job with a very steady salary, and I became a commercial real estate broker, which means I was just working on commission only, and got a lot of flack from friends and family and my spouse initially, but I did it. I've been doing commercial real estate now for 13 and a half years, and it's been a blessing. But in addition to that, I always have loved music, so I wanted to be in the music industry, and I'm not a professional. I'm a musician, but not a professional musician. So I started NAIMA Productions, which is a artist management and booking agency. So I started that actually when I lived in New Orleans in 1992, and I've been doing it off and on since then.
Okay, so I mentioned that you got divorced, 3 small children, and went into teaching. So what subject did you teach, and how easy was it for you to do that?
I started out teaching history I always taught high school. So I always taught high school. I taught in New Orleans, I taught in Montgomery County, Maryland, and in Miami. So over the 14-year career of teaching. And during that time, I taught history as well as computer classes and business classes like entrepreneurship and things like that.
So you've always had that entrepreneurial spirit in you when you were teaching it.
Always. And let me just say, my mother was a teacher, so I grew up around teachers, so it was kind of a natural thing for me to do. And I've always, whenever I worked in ministry at my church, I was always involved with either Sunday school or vacation Bible school. So, teaching, it comes natural for me.
And so let me ask you, and I want to get, if you don't mind, get a little bit personal here. So you said that you went through a divorce and you had 3 small children. So talk to me about that part of your journey and how what did you face?
Well, let me just say, I was in Louisville, Kentucky at that time, and when my first husband and I divorced, when I knew we were getting a divorce, headed toward divorce, I decided that I wanted to leave Louisville, and that's something that had been in my spirit ever since I was a child. I knew, even though I was born there, that that was not my home. I knew I needed to leave. I wanted to leave ever since I was, like I said, a child. So that I saw as an opportunity, a perfect opportunity to move away. So I decided it was either going to be Washington, D.C. or New Orleans, because I had a sister in both cities.
Okay.
And so, it ended up being New Orleans, which I'm glad. I think, we fared well there. And eventually I did move to Washington, D.C. area, but it started out in New Orleans. So it was a tough journey being with three small children. My children were in the first grade, second grade, and fifth grade when we moved there. So it was truly, that experience truly brought me closer to God. I've always had a relationship with God. I've always gone to church, but being, a single mother with three small children, and at that time I was working as a assistant manager for Ann Taylor, and which didn't last very long. But anyway, I had a job when I moved there, so it was very, very challenging because it was just something I had not experienced previously.
Mm. Wow. And what was the effects of the divorce and the move on your children?
They, of course, it was very tough for them initially. When we first told them that we were getting a divorce, they were very upset. But I think really too small to really understand what was going on until we actually physically moved to New Orleans. So when we moved there, it was tough initially for them going to a new school, making new friends. But then we stayed there almost 10 years. So I think we now consider that home more than anything else, because they grew up there. So they have roots there. And fortunately, my sister was there, and her husband and his family made us feel welcome. So we had a support group when we got there. So we didn't know anyone at all. We knew my sister was there, her in-law family, I call them. So they became like they embraced us and invited us to any and all events. So we had family dinners with them and holidays with them and outings with them. So it made the transition a lot easier for my children to have a built-in support group there.
And so was it from there to Miami?
No, it was from New Orleans to Washington, well, to actually Maryland, right outside of Washington. So I moved to Maryland, the Metro DC area, I guess, in 1998, and started teaching there as well. So, and in Maryland is where I met my second husband, who was a pastor at that time. And so, I was there for about 5 years. We were there for about 5 years, and then he got a church in Miami, so we moved to Miami, and been in Miami since 2002.
Okay, and that's where I met you, in Miami. Yes. Right. So yes, okay. So talk to me about being a pastor's wife, because to me, that's one of the things where it's like, Lord, that's way too big of a job and a responsibility. I don't know if that's something I could ever, but you have such a beautiful spirit, Clarissa. Honestly, you really do, just patient and tolerant. Whereas me, I'm on the other end, I'm just like, Lord, that's not my portion. So talk to me about being a pastor's wife and what was that like? Because even though you've always had a relationship with God, it's a case of having a relationship with God is one thing. Going to church, even being married to a minister is one thing, but a pastor? To tell me about that.
Yes. It was, let me just say, it was nothing I ever aspired to, nor did I ever think I would be a pastor's wife, nor did I ever really, like I said, want to be a pastor's wife. But that is the lot that, God laid in my lap, and I embraced it. It's challenging. I guess when we got married in 2001, we were only at the church in Maryland for about a year. Okay. And then we moved to Miami with the church here in Miami. And it was a very challenging assignment, I would say, that God put us in. The church was, going through challenges, and we went through challenges the whole time we were there. It was, like battle after battle after battle. It was just spiritual warfare, basically. But so a lot of good things came out of it. I enjoyed it, but it was just challenging. It was hard work, and working on my own too. A lot of pastors' wives maybe work in the church or for the church. I did not. I always had a full-time job outside of the church. So that means I was working during the day, going to meetings in the evenings at least 2 or 3 times a week, and then doing Bible studies and, help leading the women's ministry and doing things, just, going with my husband on to visit the sick and shut in. So it was like a second full-time job, actually. But I enjoyed it. I like I said, I embraced it. I knew God had called me to do that, so I embraced it, and even the challenges. So it was. I'm thankful for it, but also thankful that I don't have to do that anymore because I'm retired. So no, everything is for a reason or a season, and that season I think is past. So, but I'm thankful for the experience, even though it was challenging and difficult. But I met a lot of great people, and got close to a lot of great people, in the church and outside the church. So I'm thankful for it.
And just so as a pastor's wife, and I'm going to be very honest here. So, you have a lot of people that talk about, and I've heard this a lot in the last few years, church hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever experienced that?
As I said, there were many challenges and battles that we had. And yes, church hurt is real. However, I firmly believe that, you have to really, if you experience church hurt, and I think everybody that goes to church does, because church is basically family, if you look at it. However, if you're there for the right reasons, okay, if you're there to worship and serve God, then, you can, hopefully get past the church hurt. But if you're there for any other reason, like you're looking to stand out as a leader or be, chosen to do this or to do that, and you need, some attention, or you're looking for a husband or a wife, or you're looking for something that is really not a pure motive for being there,
right,
then church hurt will, it can take you out. It can take you, and cause you to want to leave that church, if you're not there for the right reason. Yeah. Because let me say, everybody experiences church hurt. I mean, we all, go through something where someone has either said something to us that was unkind, or done something, or that we know about or didn't know about and found out about it later. But, and I've had people say and do things that were very hurtful in meetings, about me or about my family, whatever. But I knew why I was there. I knew my mission. I knew my calling. So I did not let that, I guess, get me to the fact that get me to a point where I wanted to just either lash out or just give up, because I knew that God had a reason for me there, and in all things God works together for the good of those who are called according to His purpose. So that is one of my favorite scriptures. I keep that in the back of my mind, and that I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So God strengthened me to get through that time period, and like I said, it's challenging, and it was difficult, but I just thank God for it, because it also taught me many lessons as well.
Okay, because thinking about it when you say that, because if you don't have the temperament for it, then I think church hurt, like you said, it could cause you to lash out. Because speaking like from my own experience, I recall there's been times when I've been offended in church, and my first reaction is to say, listen, and I want to really, and I would want to lash out verbally and just tell them something, and just like, okay, Jesus, stop listening for a minute, I have to say something. so it's, to your point, it's like we do all experience it, but it's your relationship with God and how you handle it. And You have to have and like I've said, and I've always admired you because you have to have a special gracing to be a pastor's wife.
Well, let me just add this caveat too. I thank you for that, and I work hard at trying to, keep my spirit where it needs to be. But I did have to have some tough conversations, during my period as a pastor's wife with a few people. So it wasn't, I tried not to, God gave me a word one time that says, be strategic and not emotional.
Wow. Okay.
So when you can be strategic about what you're saying and how you say it and not emotional about it, then you really have impact.
Yeah.
When you become emotional, you're taking yourself down to the level of the other person who's probably being emotional as well. And not to say that, you can always get there, and you had to work at it and not always hit the mark, but I just try to remember if I'm in a situation, just be strategic and not emotional about the situation. Can I always do it? No, but I try.
That actually is very powerful. And I remember, if I think back, I had that happen to me once, and that's when I was going through challenges in my first marriage, where it was a case of, it was really like, looking back on it, I had to wonder, who was that person? Because I'm normally that will get up in your face, but it was like, what was the word that was given to me at the time is operate from a place of logic and not emotion. So every time he would come at me and say something, I wouldn't get in my feelings about it. I would just be calm and logical. And I think that actually probably drove him nuts, because he was expecting, and sometimes what it is when somebody's coming for you or they're coming at you, it's a case of the whole butting heads thing. So because they're in an emotional state, they've probably got themselves worked up and expecting you to come back at them in that way. And because you haven't, it's almost like you've unnerved them.
Yep, you disarm them. That's what it is. Their strategies and tricks and fiery darts from Satan are just disarmed when you don't act in a retaliatory way.
Yeah. And so that's interesting that you say that, and that's actually very, very powerful. And I think if more people stopped and thought that way, a lot of arguments would never happen.
This is true. It's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but if you can, in your state, just remember, to try to be strategic, because that way you can think better. When you're strategic, you can hear from God, hear from the Holy Spirit, like, okay, this is what you need to say, this is how you need to say it. But when you're just shooting off and and saying whatever comes in your mind, then that's you're not listening.
Yeah, but then that's very interesting. So now your journey as a pastor's wife, that part in your journey has come to an end. How do you feel about that?
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. I don't want to scream too loud, but I just want to say praise the Lord. I mean, and like I said, it was a journey, and I enjoyed it for the most part, but it was just also very, it took a lot of energy and strength, just because it was just nonstop. You're working full time and then doing that, on weekends, because if you think about it, every weekend, basically, we had church every Sunday and other activities on Saturday. So I really, really did not really get a day off. It was just hard to, very rarely did I get, a full Saturday off. So I'm thankful for now having a little more time, even though nature abhors a vacuum. So, there's really not a whole lot of, even now, not a whole lot of time. So,
okay. So let's move on to your journey as Clarissa, the businesswoman, because we've spoken about the mother, the pastor's wife, the ministry. Let's talk about the businesswoman. So talk to us, and we've learned a little bit about you being a teacher, but commercial real estate. So, and like you said, your family, you gave up a solid, regular income, because if we think about it, teachers are always going to be needed.
Right.
So to go into commercial real estate where you were just commission based. So, and I'll be interested to know, what did your family say to you about that?
Oh, it wasn't just my family. It was like even at that time, members of the church, like, I can't believe you gave up, gave up a teaching job, because a lot of the people in the congregation were teachers. So, but yeah, no, I actually, and let me tell you what really, I guess, made me make the decision to make the changes, that we were doing purpose-driven life Bible study during that time. And so, God, once again, I got a word. So look, if you're gonna, talk the talk, you need to walk the walk. Do you have faith in me or not? Okay. So I knew that I wanted to get out of teaching, but you in a comfort zone. You're getting a check every,
Yeah.
you're going to work, you're off on the evenings, you're off on the weekends. So, yeah, I can collect a check for however many years, but that is not what God was calling me to do. So I said, okay, I had been in commercial real estate for a short period in Louisville before I left there. And I knew I wanted to go back to that. So I just decided to, while I was teaching, study for the real estate exam, which I did. I took it and passed it in November of 2005. And then at the end of the year 2005, I quit teaching in the middle of the school year. And then not even wait till the end of the school year. I quit in December 2005 and joined a boutique firm here in Miami in January of 2000. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, January of 2006. So I just knew that that's something I had to do. And it was, once again, it was challenging. It was stressful, not knowing when you're going to get paid or how much you're going to get paid. My family, my husband and I, to really, look at our budget, look at our expenses, and it was tough, and it still is tough. It's tough right now, and I'm still doing commercial real estate. COVID-19, things have slowed down a little bit, but God, like my pastor says, my pastor now, my new church says that, God is the source of our resources, not my company, not, my personal company, not anywhere you get your paycheck. If it were not for God, you would not be getting a paycheck. You would not be doing deals. So God is the source of our resources. And when you look to God, then God will send resources from unexpected places.
Yes.
That is what has gotten me through in a lot of breakthroughs, a lot of, like I said, it's just a faith walk. It's a every single day faith walk, because you never know, when you're going to get paid or how much you're going to get paid. So it's a faith walk to go out, get up every day and do the work, even though, you may not get paid for another 2 months or so. Wow. So truly been a faith journey, which God has truly blessed me with, rather, I should say.
Oh, wow. And so talk to us about your personal company.
Yes, this is another thing that I'm hoping at some point in the very near future that I can do full time, because I think I'm almost ready to stop being a broker in terms of commercial real estate and start owning real estate now as an investor, and earn some passive income, and then launch my business NAIMA Productions full time. I've been doing it part time and in the background, I guess, I really relaunched I got the word once again from God in 2013 that I was actually at Jacksonville Jazz Festival, sitting outside listening to a Rochelle Farrell concert. I will never forget. And God said, look, this is what you're supposed to be doing. I'm like, really? So, but from that point forward, I just decided, even though I had started the company in New Orleans in 1992, once I moved to Washington, D.C. metro area, I really didn't do much with it. And, came to Miami, and since 2002, didn't do much with it. But then, it was in my spirit that I have to do it. And if I don't do it now, I won't do it. So
right.
Down, I call it NAIMA Productions 2.0, in 2000, relaunched in 2014. And been working at it ever since. And it's just been amazing, the journey that, God has just led me on with that, and just with the opportunities and the breakthroughs, and they're still coming, and I'm hoping and praying bigger things to come, because God has given me some ideas even now, to help me take it, because, what I do, let me just say I'm an artist manager and a booking agent. And so one of my clients now that I'm working with, mainly Rochelle Lightfoot, we had a event plan called Love, Jazz, and Soul, where, she's a full concert with a celebrity chef, 5-course meal, dinner, dancing. We did it 2 years ago, and it was scheduled for June 21st, this coming Sunday. This coming Sunday. So, but due to COVID-19, we had to cancel it. So as you can imagine, as you know, a lot of concerts, big concerts, little concerts, and venues, events have been canceled. So God, I just asked the Lord, okay, this is what you're calling me to do, but what are we going to do now? Now that COVID is here, we're stuck inside. So He gave me, I don't want to give it away just yet, but he sent me a strategy, to make it work. So I'm in the process of working on a project that can be done virtually, and so hopefully I can be able to launch it soon and announce it soon. I'm still in the incubation stages, but working on getting my website updated to reflect what I'm working on. But I'm excited because I love music. I have always loved music. My father was a DJ when I was younger, and actually he was portrayed in the movie Ray. So yeah, he was very small. He was not in the movie, but his character was portrayed in the movie Ray.
Okay.
So, but anyway, music has been in my spirit, in my system for many years. Like I said, I know music, have played instruments, but I'm not a professional musician. But I knew I want to work in the music industry, so I decided to work on the business side of music with artist management and booking agency.
Okay, so with regard, I know that you're working on a strategy that you don't want to give it away, but outside of that strategy, when COVID lifts, I'm saying when because I believe it will, when it lifts, what next is for NAIMA Productions? Because one of the things that I truly believe is there's many people that they have a full-time job, but the thing that they're doing on the side is actually really their passion and their calling. So what is it? What steps are you taking? What is it that you're doing? What's next for you that you believe can really be that thing that pushes you over to be able to say, okay, commercial real estate, you are now the part-time?
Well, I try to do everything I do to glorify God, first of all. That's what I do. I try to glorify God with everything I do. So and with that, you have to be, I believe in being a professional, in professionalism in everything I do. So when COVID lifts, I just want to, help Rochelle get her career back on track. We're looking at doing Love, Jazz, and Soul, rescheduling that. Love, Jazz, and Soul, hopefully. Don't know if it's going to happen this year now. Looks like we may have another outbreak or whatever, so maybe 2021, but also look to take on more clients to book and to manage, so I can do it full time, to get a team, to get another partner and someone that, just a team around me that allows me to go out and get business and do the business where I don't have to do all the administrative work. So right now it's just me, I'm it, I'm doing everything that needs to be done and enjoying it, and I try to work at something about the business every single day. I believe in, that you just have to put one foot in front, like they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So I believe in, just doing something toward your business every day, whether it's just making one phone call or one email or reading one article or reading something about the business, but you have to really put in, like I said, the 10,000 hours in order to be successful. So I'm really, focused on that because I believe that, the time is now. Time is short. We know these are the last and evil days. So, but I don't want to get in heaven and God say, look at all these gifts that I had for you that you didn't, use, that you didn't utilize, and you didn't, gain access to. I had all this here for you. And I read something on Facebook that says, and this sticks in my mind all the time, what if it actually works?
Yeah. I remember I read something similar and it said, what would you do if you knew it wouldn't, what would you do if you knew it wouldn't fail?
Right. Yeah.
And I
So,
just, you know what would I do? And it's amazing that the whole list of things that came to mind, and I'll do this, and I'll do this, and then I took that step back and like, okay, so what would you do? You would do all those things if you had a guarantee that it
mhm,
would succeed. But
mhm.
which one of those are you actually doing?
That's it. So I want to know if I'm stepped out on faith before. I want to step out on faith again. God has brought me thus far. I don't think He's going to leave me now. So I want to see, how far I can take it. How big it can go, and even if it doesn't get big, if I can just earn a living, doing NAIMA Productions, I will be eternally thankful because. I love what I do. I love music. I love musicians. I love working with musicians. I love the entertainment industry. Yeah, it's tough. It's harder. It's very. I'm sure just even more challenging than being in the ministry.
Yeah,
Pastor or whatever. But if it were easy, everybody would do it. So
yeah.
um, I look forward to the challenge.
Mm. And so there's one question, but it's going to be in three parts. So a young lady that's probably just gone through a divorce and got children, what would you tell her? And then a young lady that found herself as a pastor's wife and she's new in it, what would you tell her? And then a young lady that has a business and has a dream and an idea that wants to get off the ground, what would you tell her? Because you've covered your life, women, you're a woman in business and ministry, but also a wife and a mother. So that's so many different hats. And then you're probably going to find some young women nowadays that just feel a bit overwhelmed with having to do all of those things. What would you tell and speak to and tell those women? What encouragement could you give them?
So the first one was a young mother, you said?
Yeah.
Mother.
Just gone found herself like going through a divorce, and it doesn't even have to be divorce. It could be that she was widowed or something, but finds herself by herself with her children.
Well, I believe, God first and then family. So that's why actually when I moved to New Orleans, I had a job. When I got there, I was assistant manager of Ann Taylor store, but then I also got a job at a bank as a loan officer. But I realized that, both of those jobs, my children, we had to, have babysitters a lot because they were long hours and hours that were not, incongruent with their school schedule. So I made the choice to go back to school, in New Orleans, get my master's degree, and start teaching because I wanted to make sure my children had the foundation that they needed to, be who God called them to be, and grow up and be successful. So I, took a step back from what I knew I wanted to do and do what I felt like I had to do so I could just be there for them. So it was challenging. I tell you, my paycheck teaching in New Orleans was like at one point, about $840 every 2 weeks, back in the 90s, in the early 90s. So it was very, very challenging to try to make it work, but, but God saw us through. And so I would just say, make sure you keep God first always, and then keep your family, focus on your children and what their needs are. And I mean, not to say not to focus on yourself, but because you have to put the mask on yourself first. But you do need to make sure your children have the the foundation in the relationship with you. I mean, and not every mother can do that. Not some mothers have to work 2 and 3 jobs. I'm not saying that, and I did. I worked a couple of jobs, but one thing I try to do every day is we had dinner together every day. We sat down at the table and had dinner every day. So I think that was, and we did certain things together. We went to church every Sunday. We had certain traditions that we did at certain times of the year. We would go to Jazz Fest during the spring. We would go hear the Messiah at Dillard University, during Christmas season. So you just make a concerted effort at some point to be there for your children, not just kind of leave them at the hands of other people or themselves, a lot. So I think is what advice I would give to a young single mother. Do the best you can to, do what you can to be with them and to guide them. The second question was
a young lady that's now found herself as a pastor's wife.
Yes.
Or as they say over here, first lady.
First lady, yes. So I would say just once again, keep God first. Pray and I pray that and I do want to give kudos to my husband because he had the right priorities. It was God first, then me, then the family, then the church. Okay. So a lot of pastors don't see things that way. A lot of pastors will put the church before everybody else, not God, the church. So in that instance, it was very helpful because, the church did not, could not come between us. We were not going to allow the church and the church issues to come between us because we knew that what our priorities were. So I would make sure that, prayerfully, their pastor and you and the pastor's wife have their priorities together, and they're not are on one accord about their priorities. Because if you're not, that's going to be challenging. And
that's inviting trouble, isn't it?
Big trouble. Big trouble. If your husband is always, visiting this church member, that church member is always gone and never at home, then what's left? And there's sometimes when that did happen, but it wasn't on a regular basis. So a lot of pastors' wives are lonely because their husbands spend all their time at church or dealing with other church members and not their family. So you want to make sure that there is some alignment there as to what expectations are and what the priorities are. And then I would also say, do your best to find a mentor that's
that's interesting.
Yeah, a seasoned first lady that respect, and you need to watch them first because not everybody needs to be your mentor. Not every first lady. Yeah. So you need to really watch that person and watch their relationship, with the church and their family and their husband, and see if there's someone that you can, glean from or learn from on how to deal with issues. But also someone to talk to because it's very lonely. You really can't and we made a decision coming into Miami that we were not going to become friends with any of our church members because that invites trouble. Now, we were able to do that, and there was one couple that we became close to, but really for the most part, we weren't quote unquote friends with any of the other church members because, my husband was a shepherd. So you can't, the sheep and the shepherd cannot truly be friends. The shepherd is the leader. And so we made that. So it got kind of lonely because, just for example, we never got invited to not one Super Bowl party here,
Oh, wow.
No one wants to invite your pastor over to watch you drink, and get drunk. Super Bowl Sunday. So we used to laugh about that because we never were invited to Super Bowl parties. But, other activities, yes, but Super Bowl, no. But so
it makes you wonder why. It's like, what about the Super Bowl? Why nobody?
Because they drink. This, you don't want your pastor watching you get drunk. That's why. That's, Super Bowl is just mainly about drinking and watching football. So
got you. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense.
Pastor over there when you're partying hard like that, So or we did go to parties and things like that. Everybody would be nice and polite and all that. While we were there. And I'm sure as soon as we left, the party got started.
Turn up, right?
We let them turn out. So, so I would just say, just try to find a mentor because it can be lonely. Being a pastor's wife can be a lonely journey. But I would say also make sure you have your life. You have a life. Don't live vicariously through your husband or through the church. Make sure you have a life. Make sure you know what God is calling you to do as an individual because you have something in your spirit that God wants you to do too. So just make sure you're in tune with that.
Yeah, know who you are as a person, as an individual, because I suppose the danger could be, and I think it could go for everything really, that women especially, it's like they forget who they are. Because if you ask them, so who are you? They say, oh, wife, mother, first lady. It's like, no, that's what you do. Who are you? So that's interesting. And the last one was, what would you tell a young person that's got dreams and ideas of wanting to go into business, but they've got the full-time job there, and it's like, what do I do that Paul? I feel like my passion is to do this, but the full-time job takes up so much time. What would you encourage somebody in that situation to do?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm still in that situation. So I would say, yes, I really want to do my business full time. But one person told me, a friend of mine told me, is that you have to have a runway. Okay, an airplane just doesn't jump up out of the sky. You just don't go from 0 to 30,000 feet just straight up. You have to have a runway to help you take off. So that's what we look at what I look at, and other people I've read on Facebook and Instagram too. You have to, work your full-time job, until you can get to the point where, you have enough money saved up that you have expenses, I would say, for maybe 6 months to a year. Because, when you have a startup business, it doesn't always, nothing ever works out like you plan it to. Plans in the world, but you want to make sure you're comfortable enough when you quit your job that you can sustain yourself, because you're setting yourself up for failure. I would say, continue to do, work at your job, and then work, come home and work a few hours on your business until you know that you have, either, some business that you can count on, or that you have enough money saved up, like I said, 12 months to a year, 6 to 12 months of expenses that can carry you while you're, taking off on your business. A lot of people fail because they take off too soon. Oh yeah, I know I'm meant to do this. This is my business. I'm going to quit my job today. Well, no, just really need to make sure you're ready, because you don't want to, if you want to fail, yeah, go ahead and quit your job now and do it full time. But, it may not be, the right time. Timing is everything. You really consult with God and the Holy Spirit and Jesus, and like, Lord, when is the right time? When is the time for me to do this? And, let they guide you as well. Maybe God is telling you to do it now. Maybe he will take you, lift you up like that. With God, all things are possible, but just make sure you're discerning, what you're being called to do, and how and when you're being called to do it.
Yeah, because I remember I met a young lady, gosh, my goodness, probably about 4 years ago now. I don't know where the time flies. I was going to say 2 years ago, but I realized it was when I was still working. You and I were still working together, and that was over 4 years ago. And I met this young lady, and she was at her wit's end, didn't know what to do. And she had moved from, I think it was somewhere like Michigan. And she said, I believe God told me to move to Florida. And so she packed up. She had no job in Florida, nowhere to live, just put whatever could fit in her car and drove, and then was depressed and in a mess because she was struggling. She had no money or anything like that. So it's important what you're saying. It's that really resonated with me. A plane doesn't literally just go from the ground up into the air. There's a runway, it's a process, and make sure you can sustain yourself. And I think that's the danger that some people fall into. Like, God told me. Like, yeah, but God is not a God of confusion. He's a God of order. And there may be some people, like you said, that God says, you know what, I need you to get up and go and do this now, and I'm going to provide for you. But to be honest, for the most part, it's a case of God will put something in you, I believe, and give you the strategy to go and do it. So it's interesting that you say that. It just reminded me of that young lady that I had met all those years ago. And she was just like crying out for help, needed help, wanted help. And I just said to her that, you sure that's what God told you to do?
Yeah, it's, you have to really be discerning, and then, not be discouraged when it doesn't happen just as fast as you think it should happen. I want it to happen yesterday. I'm ready to do this now. Personally, I am. I want to do it now. But, I know I'm not ready at this point to just lift off. So I have to continue what I do for, a little while longer. And I'm hoping and praying that, this new project I'm working on will be a big vehicle for me to do it full time. So we shall see.
And we pray that for you, Clarissa. We do pray that for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Clarissa, thank you for being my guest here on Conversations with Allison Jaye, The Journey to Here. We just hope and pray for all the best for you in your future projects, your business, NAIMA Productions, and just in life. So thank you so much, Clarissa.
Thank you, Allison, Jaye, Allison, the Jaye group. This has been a blessing, and I do hope and pray that, you know, someone can benefit from my experiences and, you know, the varied experiences that I've had. So I hope, you know, that you and I both have been a blessing, or will be a blessing to someone through the conversation that we've had today. So that is my prayer. And I pray for you, especially as well as you embark on your journey of entrepreneurship. So, you know, I lift you up in prayer every day. So
thank you so much.
You're very determined. You're very capable. And, you know, I thank God put you in my path. So I'm thankful for you.
Thank you so much. I thank you. Thank God for you. And you know that I love you. You know I do. And I'm just very excited for where NAIMA Productions is going. And I'm looking forward to the day when I'm driving and I'm seeing things on billboards with NAIMA Productions. And I can just say, yes, I know her. And when I'm even attending some of your events. So that's going to be very, very exciting. Very exciting. And
you're out to God's ears, and believe me, I will keep you posted every step of the way.
Yes, please do. Please, and you know what? And then come back on Conversations with Allison Jaye and let us know how you're getting on. And so you know, when the time when you're so big, we're gonna have to book you months in advance to be able to come on.
Yeah, never for you, Allison. Whatever you need, you know I'm here.
Bless you. Thank you so much. Okay. Alrighty, thanks a lot, Clarissa, and we will speak soon.
Okay.
Okay, take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.